Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the RPPR function in the Kronos. It's been around in Korg gear for a while. It stands for Real-Time Pattern Playback and Record. It's a feature that allows you to assign playback of a pattern to be played with just the press of one single key. And you can assign multiple keys to play individual patterns. So you can build up arrangements on the fly because you're able to trigger these patterns in different ways. A lot of workstations may have pads to do this, but the Kronos just utilizes the keys. Now, not only can you play back those patterns, but you can also use the notes that are inside those patterns to be recording notes into the track. So it's really flexible in that respect because you can go in and micro edit with the event editor if you want to, the individual notes and placement times, volumes, and things like that, just like you would normal notes that you recorded in manually using the keyboard. So let's go ahead and click on first of all, let me show you that in Track Edit I just removed these patterns that we previously used the put to MIDI track function from the Patterns tab. I just removed those. So you do have to go into the Erase Measure command in order to take those out. Now let's click on the Pattern/RPPR tab. We've got our two drum patterns in there. Click on the RPPR Setup sub-tab. From here, the first area is the key assignment, so you can obviously select which key you want to assign a pattern to be played to. But you don't have to be in that parameter. If you want to, you can be in a different parameter and just hold down the enter key, and then whatever key you press, it's going to jump to it. So you can see here it shows all the way up to C5. If I hold down enter, I can go all the way up to C7 if I want to and make assignments to that key. But we're going to keep this simple and just keep this in some of the lower keys here. Let's go ahead and press enter. Press the C sharp key. You may notice that if you press the C2 key, it doesn't change, and that's because there's a little note here. It says C1 through C2 is the shutdown key. A shutdown key is the key that's going to stop all patterns from playing back. And this is useful because there's different modes, there's different ways you can trigger these patterns to be played with these keys. And there's actually a column here called the mode column. And if we click on the pop out, you can see there's once. That means you press and release the key, and it's going to play that pattern all the way through until the pattern ends, and it's going to stop. There's another mode called manual. This means the pattern will play and continue to loop until you release the key. And then there's another one called you press the key once. It's called endless. You press the key once and release it, and it'll continue to play and loop the pattern until you press it again. So that shutdown key is handy if you have a lot of different patterns and they're set up to be endless and continually loop, and then all of a sudden you don't know which ones are looping and which ones aren't even triggered yet. So you just want to end those. You would use the C2 key or the bottom key. Most of these, however, will have the mode set to manual, and I recommend you use that as well. There's also another mode here, or a sync pop-up. You can set it to sync to the beat, or you can sync it to the measure or the sequence, or you can actually set it to off where it won't sync at all. I recommend leaving that to the beat, so the pattern is going to trigger and be in sync with the beat. Okay, now let's take a look at the first column here. There's a assign column. You have to click on that and check it red in order to assign this key. You can change which bank pattern you're playing, and you can also change where that pattern is playing through to, and we want to leave that assigned to whatever we had that pattern set up to play through, which is track 4. And then over here on the info, it actually shows you which program. It's IF009 Deep Ambient Chill Kit, which is a drum kit type program. It gives you some information there. So we do want to assign two patterns to two different keys here, and we'll assign the next one up, which is this D2 key. And for this one, instead of U00 tribal drums, I'll select the next pattern, which is our 4-beat pattern. So we can play these and preview them. Okay, so now to use these, we're going to go back to the play record page, and from this page, under the mixer program or MIDI program / mixer page, make sure that you click on the RPPR. This is going to allow MIDI track 1, when you have it selected, to play back those assigned RPPRs. Now keep in mind it's using MIDI track 1 to have the RPPR keys overlaid into MIDI track 1. So if you're in a different track, say track 4, you don't get those, or any track up through here. You don't get the RPPR. So you need to be in MIDI track 1 to keep those. Now this is where it could get a little bit confusing if you want to, and you could play along with these, play along with your song. You could press stop, start, and play along. But if you actually want to do recording, it gets slightly more confusing because you have to use the multi-record function, because we're triggering in track 1, but our patterns are playing through track 4. So we want to set up track 4 to be the armed recording track, even though we're triggering from track 1. It's a little bit confusing. Just make sure you do that. So now let's go to the track edit, and now we can see where we're at here. We want to be at location 10. This is where we have empty measures. We can record notes into track 4. So let's go ahead and click the record write command, press stop start to start recording. And we can just press stop there. You see it recorded in our RPPR notes that are patterns, notes from those patterns that we triggered. Had a little bit of delay with that second RPPR trigger. If you want to, you could compare this and just re-record it.